Hello, everyone. Nice to see you here today with us on our QA Tech Talk with Almat. Uh, I am Miriam and I will be a moderator for this event. Please do not hesitate to send your questions to comment sections and we'll answer to all of them at the end of this. So, Almat, rocket.
Thank you, Mirwert. So I'm glad to welcome you at this tech talk called Charles Proxy as a way to test web integrations. So in my opinion, that's a very interesting topic and very interesting and useful tool to use. And so today I'm going to be your speaker. So let's move on and let me introduce myself a bit. So I'm Almat Alibek. I'm software testing engineer at EPAM with 3 years testing experience. So I've been involved in a lot of projects, and in one of the projects, I faced this beautiful tool, and I'm going to tell you some experience of my usage of this tool. So today we're going to discuss how to use Charles to intercept REST API requests, how to use Charles when testing API on mobile devices, especially in emulators and so on, and how to apply the tools in practice. So we're going to involve the big demo today. So let's move on. So before going to Charles Proxy, let's talk a bit about what is the proxy server. So according to official info from the internet, so this is an additional link between you and the internet. This is a kind of intermediary that separates a person from the visited site, creates conditions under which the site thinks that the proxy is a real person, not you. So the next thing that the such intermediaries are quite multifunctional and could be used in the several scenarios. The first thing that to ensure the confidentiality so that the sites do not know who exactly visits them. Second, to increase the level of security when accessing the network. Third, to access the content that exists only in specific location. Fourth, to speed up the access to some resources on the internet. And next thing, to access the blog pages, websites, messengers, for example, some kind of apps, mobile apps, desktop apps, and so on. So, what is the Charles proxy? According to information from Wikipedia, Charles Web Debugging Proxy is a cross-platform HTTP debugging proxy server application written in Java. It enables us to view HTTP, HTTPS, HTTP/2, and enable TCP port traffic accessed from, to, or via the local computer. This includes requests and responses, including HTTP headers and metadata with functionality targeted and assisting developers analyze connections and messages. So what kind of features we have in Charles? So this is a full set of features. So first one, that's the network message analysis. Next is the XML, JSON, SOAP interpretation, HTML, CSS, JavaScript viewers, SSL debugging, bandwidth throttling, Flash development aids, debugging HTTP connections from mobile devices, remote file debugging, debugging aids, and validation function. In scope of testing, what are Charles proxy used for? So the first thing is to modify requests and responses to simulate a specific situation. The second one, studying queries inside the application itself. It could be some kind of analogous to Chrome DevTools. So to test the API, so to get the information about the request and response and use the same information in the very same kind of tool like Postman in the absence of any API documentation. And the last thing, to check the processing and display of the data by the client. So what kind of analogs we have? So the first thing, I guess the most popular thing, you are most of them familiar with this, is the Fiddler. The second is the Wireshark, and the last thing, the Chrome DevTools. They are not similar, but they have a same functionality to track the traffic from the internet. So in our demo, we're going to talk about the next things and features. So the first thing is the initial analysis of the requests and responses. Second thing, forwarding host to Charles proxy. Third, data substitution using the rewrite function in the request and response. Fourth, changing status codes in Charles proxy, then changing the request body. And last thing, interception, modification, and sending of requests and responses using the breakpoint. So I'll disappear for a bit. Let me prepare my tools to show you. Um, so here, I'll hide my presentation and let's open my Charles. So let's share the screen. Yeah, the new tab. Share the screen. Share screen. So what we need to do to access the Charles proxy, the first thing to do, just type the name of the Charles proxy at the search bar, and it will redirect you to the official site of the Charles. So this is the official site of the Charles. As you can see here, this is the general overview with some kind of documentation, with installation packs. So what we need to do, we need to click this link, and it redirects us to the download page with the several download options. You can download it for Windows, for macOS, and for Linux. So in my case, I need to click to this button, to this link. So I already downloaded and installed it. So let me skip this part. And
I'm sorry, Ahmad. We don't see your screen. Please
I'm
share
so
it.
sorry. I'm so sorry. So there is some kind of technical issue. So what about now?
Yes, we see it.
So I guess it's everything is okay. So let me try it again. So this is the official website of the Charles. So with a general overview, with the documentation, and here we need to click this link, download a free trial, and this is the options that I told you. And here we need this option. So I already installed it, downloaded. So let's skip this part and let's open the primary and the Charles proxy. So this is the interface of our Charles proxy here. As you can see here, this everything is empty. So don't worry, our Charles proxy is fully configured and it's okay. To see my traffic from the network, the first thing I need to do is to click this button and here apply the Windows proxy. So after applying this, for example, if I will access for some kind of data from the information, it will shows me some kind of data. So here is the block of network. So we can see a lot of information that comes from network. And here, for example, if we choose some kind of resource, here we can see the detailed information about this resource, what kind of status codes, URL, path, what kind of protocols were used, headers, and so on. So to see this kind of window here, as you understand, we should configure our Charles proxy. To configure our Charles proxy, we need to do the next action. So here we go to the help. Here we go to the SSL proxying, and the next thing to do, I click the install Charles root certificate. So there's some model window pop up, and it tells me that it's going to do install the SSL certificate. So here I need to click this button. So choose here the current user, then click next, and then I should click this button, this radio button, place all the certificates in the following store, then browse and click this option, trusted root certification authorities. Then click OK, click next. Here it's already choose a certificate store selected by user, and just click finish, and Charles Proxy installs you this SSL certificate. For what reasons we need this SSL certificate? For example, here my SSL certificate is already installed, and I can see that information, the clear information, detailed information about the, of course, the public APIs. For example, for some data, I don't have any access because I need some kind of additional configurations. But for public APIs, everything is okay, because here I can see the detailed information that comes from the internet. So here, if I click the contents, I can see that some kind of information comes from the internet. So, and at the very start, you won't see this kind of information. So at the very start, to configure it, you need to do this kind of action. So you go into proxy here, you need to click the SSL proxy in settings. And here I can give an instruction to my Charles to track some kind of and use SSL proxying to a specific resource on the internet. So here you have to mark this checkbox, enable cell proxying. And for example, what this instruction does. So by adding this kind of instruction, asterisk dot and asterisk, I can tell to my Charles to make an SSL proxying to every single resource on the internet, on the network. So it automatically turns on the SSL certificate for each resource that comes from the network. So after doing this, you can see this clear information in this kind of block. So that's it for the web and desktop configuring. So the next thing I'd like to show you to how to configure it on the mobile devices, because one of the biggest reasons of the Charles, and I think the issues that we don't have an ability to track in a network what kind of requests we send, what kind of responses we have from the internet when we're testing the mobile apps, and also in the desktop when we test the desktop applications. So let's show you how to configure it at the mobile devices. So unfortunately, I don't have an ability to show it in the real mobile device, but I can show you in the emulator that I prepared for you. So for this emulator, I need to open my Android Studio. Here, I need to open my virtual device manager. And here I need to click my already prepared emulator. This is the Pixel 4 with the Android 11. So let's click the play. So what it does. So it's a bit different configuring the Charles proxy in the mobile, because the first thing that you need to know how to configure your Charles proxy and the connection between them. The first thing you need to know, you should go to the help section in the Charles, click the SSL proxying, and here you need to click say install Charles root certificate on a mobile device or remote browser. So the model window pop up and it tells me that configure a device to use Charles as its HTTP proxy on some kind of API and port, and then browse to the SHLS Pro SSL to download and install the certificate. So the first thing that I need to do, I need to configure my proxy settings at my emulator. So I need to go to the settings of my emulator. So here I need to open this, then open the proxy tab. Then I need to copy the IP and port that this model window showed me. So as you can see here, I already tried to make the connection, but it's older connection. So here's the new. So he tells me it's 10.22.209.252. So here I need to change the last two digits, and port is the same. And the next action you need to do is to click the apply button. So that's the very first connection from the new IP. So Mike Charles is going to tell me that some kind of connection is going to connect to my Charles, and I click the allow. So we configured it. So at least we can see, at least let's check that our connection is on, and let's clear the traffic here to not get distracted by the network from the Windows. I need to switch off this option. So let's clean it again. So here, let's open the Chrome. Let's clean it again one more time. And here I'll type Swagger Pet Store. So let's click enter. So what we can see here, as you can see here in my Charles, it focused on the specific network, the specific resource called the Pet Store Swagger IO. So how I did it, I just right clicked it and applied the focus option. So it will, when it catches the request and response from the pet store, it will be focused on it, and other resources will be hidden in the other hosts folder. So as you can see here, I'm full set, and it already shows me all the information. But let me show you if I try to connect it without any certificate. So what I'm going to do is go to the trusted credentials. Here in the trusted credentials, I'm going to delete my already installed certificate. So let's click on OK. So if I try to connect it without any SSL certificate, it's going to show me the next things. So let's clean it. Let's give it another try, and let's just refresh it. And here, as you can see, Chrome is going to tell me that my connection is not private and it's tracked by the third-party systems. So in our case, that's okay. It's just a moment when we don't have any SSL certificate, and to prove our system, to prove our mobile device that especially we going to track our network, we need to install this SSL certificate. And as you can see here, and every single network and every single information here is hidden, and I cannot see anything here, just unknown. And here it tells me that failure, network is unreachable, and notes SSL proxy not enabled for this host. Enable in proxy settings, SSL locations. So how to install it? How to install the SSL certificate on the mobile device? We have the two ways. The first way is to, after making a connection between these two, between this Charles and mobile device, you need to do, you need to again open this model window, and after making a connection in the level of IP and port, you need to browse chls.pro/ssl. What it means that after you making a connection to this IP uh, is going to reach the generated certificate through this IP. So that's the specific. So that's the point, that to reach every single information, you need to install only the SSL certificate that generated by this application. If you're going to install the another certificates that generated by other Charles in other, for example, local machines, it's not going to work. So make sure that you clearly install and follow this set of rules. So I'm not going to do this. I want to try another way, the second way. The second way is here. I'm going to SSL proxying and click the Save Charles Root Certificate. So it shows me this. I'm going to save it at my desktop, and I already saved it. But what I'm going to do is just drag and drop my .pym extension file, my certificate installer, to my device. So the next things I going to do is go here, click the search settings, and here type install certificates. So here you need to choose the second option. After choosing the second option, you here need to choose this option, install certificate from SD card. So here you need to choose CA certificate, not others. Uh, and again, it's going to tell me that I'm going to install the certificate and make sure that this certificate is generated by the persons, companies that I fully trusted. So in my case, it's me. So I'm fully allowed to install this. So, but make sure that you only install this kind of SSL certificates from the really persons or from you, and not install any other certificate, because if you make this action, your data is going to be shared by someone else. So here, be careful. So here I click the install anyway. Then it shows me my downloads folder and the .pem extension that I already drag and dropped. Here I clicked it, and the system tells me that my CA certificate is installed. So I guess we're full set. So let's give it another try and check our connection. So here I'll go to Chrome and I just reload my page, and voila, as you can see here, my connection is successful. And here, by clicking this, for example, Pet Store Swagger, the public API with the very simple client, I can see that my Charles fully tracks it and can show me the interaction between them. So that's the reason why we use the Charles Proxy for mobile devices, and especially in mobile testing. It helps you to reach the network that comes from the server, comes from the backend, to explore, discover what kind of actions, methods you have, and it's especially very useful for API testing. So for example, if we compare it with the web testing, in different kind of browsers, we have for example, in Chrome, in Firefox, we have a very useful tool, DevTools, that I already told you before. But for example, in testing mobile apps, you don't have this ability. You can avoid it by using the Xcode Android Studio, but uh, there are a lot of configuration actions, and you should install a lot of plugins and configure them to each other. So it's a bit tricky. So the easiest way to access your network from the mobile device is to connect the Charles. So not only Charles, also you can use the Fiddler, the Wireshark. In my case and in my set of experiences, I prefer to use the Charles. So here, let's make some kind of actions. For example, here I want to post, for example, some pet, create a new pet. So here I click this, then I click the try it out. And here I want to add the new record on this database. So here I want to add 777 ID and set the name, for example, Captain Rex, and click the execute. And as you can see here, Charles intercepted it and will show me the detailed information about this request and response. So the next things I'd like to show you, it's the functionality and features of the Charles proxy, and to show and it's a little bit uncomfortable to show it in the scope of mobile device. So I'd like to show it in the scope of browser. So let's switch to our browser. So I guess you got it to how to install and configure the proxy in your mobile device. In the real devices, so let me tell you how to configure it in the real device. In the real device, you don't have to need, you won't have this option with the settings. So you need to go to the real settings app. You have to go to the settings of your network. Here, go to the settings of Wi-Fi, and here go to the settings. Here, I click the advanced. Um, and here I need to click this in advanced options. Here I have a proxy options, and here I click the manual, and here I can do the same things that I did in the settings of the emulator. So I would skip it. So let's switch to functionalities of our tool, and let's open the browser. So just give me a second, please. Uh, so this is my this is not my, sorry, this is the Swagger pet store. This very popular and very easy and simple resource on the internet. For example, when you start learning and discovering the functionalities of Postman, there are also the links to this pet store, and we have here a lot of documentation and methods that makes us familiar with the API. So here we have different kind of methods: post, get, put, delete. So on the basis of this public API, I want to show you the abilities of the Charles. So the first thing that I'd like to show you is how to play with the breakpoints. So as I told you before in the presentation, I'm going to show how to intercept the requests and make changes and send it to the client. So first thing that I need to do is to create some pets. So here I go to this and I click the try it out. Let's create a new pet. Let's click, for example, 123 ID and give it a name. For example, I don't know. Let's give it just a Rex. Here, let's click and execute. So if we open our Charles, so what it tells me, so that's my connection is okay. So here, as you can see here, I didn't apply it Windows proxies, so that's why I don't, I cannot see the traffic from the Windows. So let's just clean it. Let's click the proxy and enable the Windows proxy. So let's give it another try. Let's send it one more time. Let's click it. And at the client, we can see that the code is 200 and we have the valid response body. So let's check it in our Charles. So here, if I open it, it shows me the pet response. And here, as I said before, I can make some initial analysis of my resource. So here I can analyze, for example, what kind of URL, what kind of status, response code, what kind of protocols were used, what kind of connections there are, web sockets, timing, for example, if you are testing some kind of performance, what kind of size of request, of response. And here I am interested in the contents section. So content section divided into different kind of tabs. Here we have the headers, we have the text, we have the hex, we have the JavaScript. So in case of JSON, JavaScript, JSON, and JSON text is pretty same. So also I can see it in the row. So you mostly will work with the JSON and the JSON text. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this, here I'll right click on my pet, and here I want to enable the breakpoints. So I enable the breakpoint and see what's going to happen next. So for the first, I want to disable this breakpoint to show you next thing. So Let's click OK. So let's check that our client, our Swagger Pet Store, is able to find this created, just created pet. So here I need to click find pet by ID, and I click to try it out. And if I click here 1, 2, 3, and click execute, it's going to show me that pet not found. Why? Because I already created a pet. So disable disable it. So let's give it another try. So yeah, here the status code 200, that everything is successful, and the response body is the valid body of our created pet. So let's check it on Charles. So yeah, it showed us, it intercepted us. And the next thing that I like to do is to set the breakpoint. So I already set it, and in this breakpoints settings, I'd like to enable it and disable this one because I don't need this one. So here, if we give another try to find it, as you can see here at the level of the client is still loading it, and it waits for my actions. So here Charles intercepted us successfully, and we can make changes at the two levels. So we can make changes at the level of request. So at this point, we are using the get method. So the only thing we can change is the change the endpoint. So I don't need it. So I'm interested in changing of the response to check my client. So let's click execute to pass it. So it just catch it and intercepted my response that comes from the server. And I can see here that from server comes the valid response with the status code 200. So we can here explore the contents. So for example, here we have some headers, have status, and have explored the JSON text. So what can I change here? I can change here the status code in the level of headers, and I can change the body. So for the first time, let's substitute the status code. So as we mentioned before, by accessing this endpoint, we got the 200 message. But let's check the ability of our Charles. Is it able to substitute this status code? And so let's click execute. So yeah, as we can see here, for existed pet, it's sends to the client the 404 message. With this message, response status is 404, but body still remains the same. So don't worry, that's the valid behavior of the system, of the platform. So I would like to say that's the testing environment. So, for example, in other environments, in other real environments, if our client will be configured to 404 message, and if it's C404 message, it's just displays the error message, the error page with that something is wrong, and please configure it. But in this kind of level, it's okay. So let's try another thing. Let's try to substitute the body uh, of our request. So let's click the execute. Again, it's intercepted me the request. I want to just pass the request and click the execute. I want to edit the response. Here, let's change, for example, instead of Rex, let's give it, I don't know, the champion, for example, and another ID. For example, instead of 1, 2, 3, let's give it 7, 8, 9, and let's click execute. So yeah, we successfully, according to the client, as you can see here, we successfully substituted our ID and the name. So what is the reason of this kind of substitution? So the first reason, when you're testing the client, there could be some kind of situations that you don't have enough the testing coverage. So in my real case, in one of the projects, we have a very small testing coverage. That was the financial project, and we needed a big amount of users with different parameters, and we needed to test every single field with a different kind of data. And uh, because of lack of the users, we were restricted, and this tool really saved us and give us an ability to test in one user different kind of situations and different kind of fields, different kind of parameters. So in testing the clients, so I guess it's a very useful tool. So the next thing I'd like to show you is, for example, the change the make the substitute in the level of request. So let's again click the execute on the same ID. It intercepted us, and if we make changes in the level of requests, for example, let's change it instead of 1, 2, 3. Let's click here 1, 2, 6. Let's execute it, and yep, as you can see here, it's fully sent me the error message. Yeah, and it's both of them invalid. No, in the proper way invalid. So here we have status code 404, and here we have the error message with the proper response body that pet not found, because at the level of the request we sent instead of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 6. So that's it for the breakpoints. That's very powerful tool and feature. So we have a bit same feature, but some a bit different is the rewrite tool. So what rewrite tool does? Before accessing to rewrite tool, let me go to the breakpoint settings and disable all of these breakpoints to not get distracted. And here I need to go to the tools and here click to rewrite. As you can see here, I already give a set of instructions. So in the few words, what is the rewrite tool? Rewrite tool, it's when you give a set of instructions to Charles to do something. If we compare it with the breakpoints, so what breakpoints do? Breakpoints do and give us ability to make changes, make substitutions at the moment. So it just intercepts you and gives you an ability to change something. What rewrite does, you just already give a set of instructions to Charles, and you don't have to do anything at the moment. So to test the rewrite functionality, let's do next things. Here I mark the enable rewrite checkbox, and just let's delete this old rules and add the new one. So let's click it. Let's call it, for example, change the response status. And here, let's add the location. Let's add the specific resource that we want to make this set of actions. So before doing this, let me do this. Let me copy the URL of this response, of this request. So here I just copy it. Then I go back to the rewrite. I need to again delete them, remove them, and add the new one. Here, response status, add the new location. Here in the field of host, just copy and paste it and just click tab. So by clicking the tab, it parses you automatically and properly sets all the field in the proper way. So let's click OK. So we added our location, and here we have another block, and here we need to add some kind of instructions. So let's click add, and the new model window appears, and here I can choose what kind of actions I would like to apply to my chart, to my resource. So here we have different kind of actions like the add header, modify header, remove header, host, pass, URL, add query parameters, modify parameters, remove parameters, response status, body. I'm interested in response status. So let's click in response status. This field is disabled because it's already understood that changes is going to apply to response. And here I would set the value, for example, for all the responses with the 200 status code, I'd like to set, instead of 200, please set me the 404. And make sure that replace all radio button is turned on here, and let's click OK. So let's click OK, and let's test our system. So it's already 1, 2, 3 here. Let's click execute, and boom. Let's check in the Charles. Charles successfully substituted it. It gives a note that rewrite tool status changed to 404. And yeah, our client successfully got it. And instead of 200 message, it got the error response status is 404. Same goes for the body. For example, if you here go back to the rewrites, and for example, let's just modify this set of rule, and instead of response status, for example, let's click the substitute a body. Location remains the same, and here in this block we will set the body, and I want to say to my Charles to change the response the body. And here I have two options, because if it's the post, for example, method, you can change the body in the level of request. If it's the response, you can change it in the level of response. So in this case, I'm interested in response. Here, let's unmark this request and mark the response. So the value field I can make empty and just mark the match whole value. And here I would like to add the new value. So let me copy the wrong body here. So I guess you got it. So instead of this body, I want to set this body with the code 1 type and message with pet not found. So let's click OK. Let's click and let's unmark this rule, because I want to test only this rule. And let's click OK. So if we, with the same ID, click execute, boom, it tells us that status code is 200, but response body is successfully substituted with the proper, in the right way data. Uh, so let's check it on the on the Charles. So everything is okay. If we click it, if we see it in the overview, so in notes, it tells us that rewrite tool body replace it to this. So, and also, as I told you before, the main advantage of the rewrite tool that you don't have to do a single method, a single action by doing every time a single action. So you can apply a set of rules. For example, change the body, change the status code, make the query parameters, change the query parameters. So let's test if both our rules will work. So here I have a rule for the status code, and I have a rule for the body. And let's click it OK. So if we click and execute again, yeah, it successfully worked for both of the rules. So here, as you can see, it changed the status code with the proper error message and successfully substituted a body. So in some cases, it would, for example, if you want to replace a big amount of JSON file, for example, let's refresh the page. So as you can see here, for example, this Swagger JSON have a little, not a little, it's a really big amount of data. So to replace this kind of data, it would be a little bit tricky with the rewrite tool. So what we do in that case, the first thing, let's go back to our breakpoints. And here I already applied the map local. So here you need to click the map local. Then I will go to the rewrite tool and disable the rewrite to not get distracted by these rules, and go back to the tools and we'll click the map local. Here I want to say, let's delete this rule and let's remove it. No, let's just modify it. So as you can see here, it's already configured to this location, and here you have an option to set the local path from from your local machine on your computer. So I already did this. So for here, you need to click the choose button, and it opens your desktop. And here I set the my maplocal.json file. So and what I want to do here, I want to replace this data. For example, this proper data with proper and right files, with description, with title, and everything else. And if we compare it with here, we have the very same title, we have the very same description. For example, here, this is the sample server pet store server, and here also it is. So let's modify our map local JSON. So here, let's click the new document. So that would be called the map local. So, and what I want to do, I want to copy this. And here I want to add a bit modified data. So instead of, for example, title the Swagger Pet Store, let's call it just a demo. This is just a demo. This is just a demo, and here let's add, for example, some characters, for example, to test the capacity of the field. So let's click Control S to save it. So let's delete our old JSON file, and here we would like to modify it to the .json extension. Yes, I would like to do it. So let's check again our map local function. So here, make sure that you enabled map local, and let's check our rules here, map local.json. So yeah, it's okay. Okay. And let's give it a try and just refresh the page. Yep, it successfully worked. So my congratulations. So we successfully substituted the data using the map local tool. So as you can see here, my client successfully got these changes and these changes. So that's it from my side. That's everything that I would like to tell you today. And I hope that was very useful and helpful for you. And I would like to say the last words that this is the not expert's opinion. So if you have any suggestions and corrections, So please do not hesitate and write them into the comments. We will try to apply them in the next tech talks. So thank you, and Mirwert, let's start the Q&A session.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for your presentation. And we have some questions from our participants.
Mhm.
Maya is asking, will there be examples of simulation? So I think we already covered. Do you
Yep.
have any comments? Okay. And also another question from Maya. Why do you prefer Charles? Many testers choose Fiddler. What are the pros and cons?
Uh, let's say only pros. I don't have any experience of using the Fiddler, but I saw that a lot of testers are familiar with Fiddler, and it's a very popular tool. But I guess in my case, I just a bit lucky to meet Charles first, not the Fiddler. But I tried to compare them, and in my opinion, Charles a bit comfortable, and the UI it's more user friendly for testers. But it's only my opinion. So in my case, the Charles is most preferable tool for me than a Fiddler. So that's it. That's why I choose the Charles.
Okay, next question is from Alena. She's asking what means transient proxy? What is bypassing in proxy? Saw this configuration in the Charles, but not sure if I understand them correctly. Have you heard of this?
What is the transient proxy and what is the bypassing in proxy? So this configuration in the Charles, but not sure if I understand them correctly. I guess I'm not sure that I can answer you because I don't have an experience also with using this kind of configurations. So, but that's a good point to us to explore them in the future tech talks. So thank you. I will add
And
them in my list.
yeah, just to add, we'll try to find answer, and we'll answer this question in our social media. Please keep an eye on it. Next question is from Aurelia. Any suggestions where I can learn more about what's being intercepted in details? How to read requests and responses so I get the most information out of them.
So, any suggestions? So, the first suggestion, try to get to more familiar with the APIs. So, how to read them, how to test them. So, how to test them through Postman. Before learning the APIs, try to learn what is the JSON, what is the XML, what kind of APIs exist, for example. Try to be more familiar with the REST APIs, with the SOAP APIs, and so on. That's the first thing. So I guess after reading all of this information, this would be enough to you to get more information from the requests and responses. So that's it, I
Okay,
guess.
thanks for your answer. Another question from Aurelia. What's the purpose of replacing response body?
What is the purpose of replacing the response body? For example, in JSON, we have the structured fields, and each field will go to the some prepared field in the client. So the purpose of replacing the body is to check, for example, the behavior of some fields, behavior of the client. For example, if our field's capacity, for example, 200 or 300 characters, what's going to happen if we replace our field with, for example, 500 or 1000 characters? So that's it. Every single action related with replacing a response body, it's all about checking the client's behavior.
Okay, thank you. And the last question from Nino. Why would we need to test just server responses violations without without changing input data in real world.
So why would we need to test just server responses validation without changing input data in the real world? I guess I don't fully get it, your question. So so if we take the real real case in the real world, yeah. So everything I presented you, it's fully prepared and testing environment. So for example, the emulators, the Swagger Pet store. So in the real world, so what you're going to do in the real world, you're going to face the mobile testing. So what the mobile testing means that it involves the testing the mobile applications. So if you test the mobile applications in the 95% of time, you are not going to have any chance to see what kind of network comes from the backend or server from the API, for example. And as I said before, the using Charles Proxy or any other sniffer tool in the legal way would help you to be more familiar with the API testing. So I guess that's the reason why we showed you this demo and tech talk. So I guess that's it, as I understand the question. So as I understood the question.
Okay, sure. And also, our participants can ask additional questions or leave comments in our social media. We are trying to keep an eye on all of the comments. And one more time, I want to thank you, Almat. It was really good presentation and interesting demo. And thanks a lot for all the participants. Please rate uh, this tech talk via link, and link can be found in the chat section. Um, and yes, we will be really glad to see your feedback, me and Almat. So thank you, and see you
Let's say
next
the
time.
last words.
Yeah, let's switch
So
the.
yeah, I would like to invite you to the next upcoming events. So let me show you what kind of events is going to be. So please do not forget to register to our next tech talk with Zangar. He is a senior testing engineer at EPAM, and he is going to share his experience in chatbot testing. You'll know what to pay attention during testing, how to correctly write test cases for them, and he's going to talk about the ways of automation of chatbot testing. And also, I would like to invite you to our QA Hub event dedicated to the 1 year anniversary of our QA community called the Harry Potter and Secrets in Testing. It will be interesting adventure for you and your team. We prepared for you such challenges as Magic Chess, Tom's Diary, and Spider's Home. So please follow the link and join us in this upcoming event. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. See you next
So
time.
have a good day. Bye.
Bye.